talk to you guys about where you can get the cheapest paint for your project, and what kind of paint you can get that's cheaper than other ones. I was looking online, these guys are painting with Rust-Oleum. I mean, my God, what a joke. I mean, why would you ever do that? It wouldn't even last like 6 months, maybe at the most, and you did all that work and have something last 6 months. Come on. Yeah, I mean, I could see somebody using a cheap clear or something, cheap stuff that. So what kind of paint can you get that's really cheap to buy, that's okay to last? Okay, so there's a couple different things you can do. If you're in other states, the paint's a lot cheaper than it is in California. So the numbers I'm going to tell you are a little bit more expensive than if you're in, another state where they have 3.5 VOC products, which are a lot cheaper. But if you want to do your car metallic, then you're gonna need to buy base coat, clear coat paint. So you're gonna need to find a place that sells base coat cheap, and base coat's expensive. So what and I'll tell you, the cheaper base coats, when you buy base coat, have more binder in them. So what's binder? Binder is clear. So they mix up, like basically you get a can of paint. Maybe we'll look at some paint cans while I'm talking too. You get a can of paint where there's that much paint in the can and the rest is clear, and then you get a better product and there's that much paint in the can and the rest is clear. They all have a little bit of binder in them. So the better paint usually goes a lot further. So you could probably get, if you're trying to save money, you can look in the mismatch section at the paint store. That's one way to do it. And sometimes you can get those things pretty cheap. A lot of the paint stores, if you go there, they have mismatch paint. So they've tried to make a color, it doesn't match, or they have leftover paints from a few different jobs, and they just box them all up in a quarter-gallon can and sell it for really cheap. And you could get that. Make sure the hardener is available for it too, or catalyst. You could shoot that as a base coat and then get a quart of the color you want and mist it over it. It's pretty much what I did here. This has a base coat underneath that's orange that you can't see. Just made it easier for me to paint this color over it. So how do you, and no, you're not seeing the orange bleeding through. So anyway, you completely cover it, but it makes it a whole lot easier with a base coat underneath. So anyway, and then to try and find a really inexpensive clear. There's a lot of them out there. If you're in another state, there's a lot more of them. But when you do get the really, really cheap clears, a lot of times they have more solvent in them. You're going to have more issues with painting it. Like I try and tell everybody, get that multi-clear from, not the production clear. The production clear is not as good. The multi-clear from Drew Carriage Paint Supply is actually really good. That's what's on this. It's buffed out really nice. I have to clean this thing still right now. But when you're doing a metallic, you got to use a base coat, clear coat. If you're doing a solid color, which just has no metallic in it, you can use single stage urethane. And Valspar has one that's not bad, and it's very cheap. And it's like about, depending on the color, if you get red's going to be almost double the price of white. So let's just talk about what white costs. White or black, which you don't want to paint your car black. Believe me, that's just way too much work. So, but let's just talk about white. White is around $100, $120 a gallon plus the hardener. So you're going to spend at least $150 on that. That's the paint. The primer is going to cost you, you're going to probably, for a bus, and this is just for if you're doing a bug, if you're doing a bus, you can just double everything because it's twice as much surface area. But for a bug, you can get a paint for $150. For a bus, double that. You're gonna have $300 in just cheap paint. Then you're talking about primer. Oh, I think on this bus, I think I've got 3 gallons of primer probably on it before I got done. The bugs, usually I have 2, like gallon and a half to 2 gallons. This is what it takes. Don't figure you're going to get there cheaper. But one of the cheapest primers you can get is a lacquer primer. It's pretty much terrible, but it's better than Rust-Oleum. But the best primer for the dollar is definitely the PCL polyester primer. That's only $65 a gallon, so you get 2 gallons of that for $65 or $70, depends on where you go. Drew Carriage $65, everywhere else I looked is $70. So if you go that route, then you're going to only be in a primer about $1.20, $1.30 for primer, and then but you got to add up for the sandpaper. You're going to have $50 to $100. Yes, you will use 50 to 100 sheets or more, 150 sheets of sandpaper to do a full project. If you're doing one like this, you're going to have a ton of sandpaper in it. That's just the bottom line. And if you're trying to make it last longer, you're going to have a ton more time. So, and you'll have a wavy looking car because you need that shine. You need that good sandpaper to do it. So where are we at? So you're talking about for let's say you go with a solid color paint, you're looking at probably $300 to $400, $450, say, in materials minimum. That's the cheapest. That's the cheapest stuff you can get. That's with sandpaper, pretty much, and maybe a gallon of cheap Bondo. That's the cheapest stuff you can buy. You're going to be into it $450. So I had a guy who commented and said, paint jobs don't cost 10 grand. I mean, that's the cheapest materials you can buy. Hello. They cost a lot of money. Yeah, when you're talking about metal work, you're talking about man hours for the metal work, you're talking about all the, metal thing being, all the jams getting done, all the body work getting done after that, and then getting a really good paint job that's got good paint, high quality paint. Hell yes, you're looking at 10 grand. Absolutely. If you're looking at cheaper than that, you're just being unrealistic and you're trying to cheat somebody. The shop's not going to make any money. He's going to have your car for tons and tons and tons of time. He's going to stroke you on forever, and you're going to wonder why it didn't get done. So, how come he's had my car so long? Well, you were too freaking cheap. So that's just the bottom line. That's what happened. I've had to tell people that 100 times at different shows. Well, God, my car's been tied up in paint forever. So, well, how much you pay? Oh, $3,800. And then I got it back from the guy. And inside the jams, inside here, inside here, right here. Oh, there was overspray. He didn't even mask it. Dude, you're lucky to get it painted. Lucky you got your car back, and the guy didn't go out of business. It's just like, dude. I mean, okay, don't complain. Your luck. You had really good luck for that price. And so anyway, that's the type of stuff I see all the time. But anyway, so that's where we're at that's where you're at for budgeting for your own paint, and why this stuff costs so much money. It just does. That's how much it costs. In other states, I've looked around, stuff is about 20% cheaper than that. So, because the VOC regulations are lower. So if you figure if you're in another state, you can knock a 20% discount on there, and you'll probably be pretty much in the budget So that's how you figure out. But that's how you figure out your own paint costs. So anyway, I just let you guys get going. I'll just want to give you guys a heads up on how much to budget for painting, for your paint.